Well, hi friends, good morning. So glad you're joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Channing Curtis. Let's get you ready for the day ahead with a look at the weather with meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Thomas, it felt really nice walking into work this morning.
Didn't it?
It felt really great.
Yeah.
What does the rest of the day, though, have in store for us?
Not bad out there this morning. Should be fantastic again for this afternoon. It's still the summer season. I think Mother Nature is just reminding us, hey, there's still a couple of days of summer left, so we'll gift you some summer weather here. Mostly in the 50s first thing this morning at 6 o'clock. Our normal cool spots like in Deer Park and Sandpoint, you're in the mid 40s right now, but that's nothing unusual for the inland Northwest. A very typical, almost kind of like end of August weather as opposed to mid-September. So we'll call it a little bit warmer than average. Bit of a weak weather system that passed through yesterday did produce a few sprinkles or light showers over the Palouse during those wee hours of the morning, about 1 a.m. But that long gone already. So are the clouds because it's just going to be perfectly sunny all day long. Sunrise is at 6:24 a.m. in Spokane, and I think we'll see every single minute of sunshine today.
We do have some breaking news just into our newsroom within the last hour. Escaped Pennsylvania inmate Danilo Cavalcante has been captured. The convicted murderer has been on the run for 14 days. Just this week, he allegedly broke into someone's home and armed himself with a rifle. Police will be holding a conference on the capture in just about 20 minutes. Of course, we'll continue bringing you more updates once we learn more.
All right, we want to take a live look right now at the Maple Street Bridge where things are back open. It just reopened just moments ago. Crews started construction last night, and it's going to be closed daily until 6 a.m. for drivers each morning. So if you use this bridge, keep that in mind as you head to work. We're told that all traffic will be reduced to one-lane northbound travel. Construction will continue nightly from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. until October 6th.
Today, the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students last November is expected to be back in court.
Yeah, KREM 2's Nicole Hernandez joining us now from the newsroom with more on what we can expect from today's hearing. Good morning, Nicole, and you've been covering this case for almost a year now, and there's been a lot of back and forth about cameras specifically. So what's happening today?
So, Tim, Channing, today's hearing is for a motion brought by the defense to remove cameras from the courtroom. Now, they filed this motion last month. The court documents say camera operators in the courtroom did not follow the judge's directive to focus more on than the suspect, Brian Kohberger. Now, the court filings also say the defense says that people have been posting on social media about Brian Kohberger and often overanalyzing his body language from this video. His attorneys say that under the 6th Amendment, he has a right to a fair trial, and more access to viewing him in hearings could unfairly prejudice the trial. Now, last week, the prosecutor in this case filed a response to this motion, largely agreeing with it. The prosecution says cameras should be removed because it could make vulnerable witness, some who have already faced harassment, afraid to testify. Yesterday, KREM 2 did get a statement from the families of Kaylee Gonsalves and Xana Krenodal, 2 of the victims. They also are asking the judge to allow cameras. It reads in part, quote, "It is vitally important that the trial be viewed publicly. It is important to the victim's family, relatives, community members, and the public that this veil of secrecy be lifted at trial. This not only ensures accountability for all the parties involved, but also helps the public maintain its faith in the justice system," end quote. Now, in full disclosure here, KREM 2 is one of dozens of news organizations who have filed oppositions to this motion. Today's hearing is scheduled to start at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We still don't know when the suspect's trial is expected to start, as the originally scheduled October start date has been delayed indefinitely. In the newsroom, Nicole Hernandez, KREM 2 News.
Covering North Idaho, in a matter of hours, the man accused of murdering a family of 4 in Kellogg is expected back in court.
Prosecutors say 31-year-old Major John Kaler admitted to shooting and killing his 4 neighbors back in June. The shooting came after Kaler accused the oldest son in the family of lewd conduct in front of Kaler's young children. Today, he will have the opportunity to submit a plea to the 5 felony charges he faces, 4 counts of murder and 1 count of burglary. If convicted, Kaler could face up to life in prison. During today's hearing, the judge will also hear a motion to lift a gag order in this case. That order prevents both the defense and prosecution from discussing the case with anyone. That hearing is scheduled to start at 10 this morning.
All right, the time now is just about 6:06. Let's take a look at your morning rush. More news in less time. New in the last 24 hours, a small earthquake was reported near Fairchild Air Force Base. The 2.7 quake was reported yesterday around 10 a.m. in the morning. The U.S. Geological Survey reports the epicenter of the quake was about 4 miles underground. Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson is suing a Washington gun store accused of continuing to sell high-capacity magazines despite a ban. The law banning the sale of magazines that can hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition started in July of last year. The AG's office says the store, which is in southwestern Washington, sold magazines that violated those limits to state investigators when they visited the shop. Investigators have visited more than 100 stores across Washington as a part of the AG's crackdown. And for the first time in nearly 100 years, the state of Idaho will have a Navy ship named after it. The USS Idaho is a Virginia-class fast attack submarine currently being built in Connecticut. Besides the name, the ship has another connection to the Gem State. Its nuclear reactor was designed in Idaho, and the crew of the ship will be coming to North Idaho all next week to meet people here in the Gem State. That is a look at your morning rush. Taking a look at your Northwest news this morning, the state of Idaho is preparing for another day in court. 4 women and 2 doctors filed a lawsuit against the state.
They say Idaho's laws banning abortion caused pregnant women harm. The plaintiffs say this lawsuit is not meant to overturn Idaho's laws, but to define unclear terms. Right now in Idaho, doctors can perform an abortion to, quote, prevent the death of a pregnant woman. But doctors say they don't know what that actually means medically speaking, or how close to death their patient has to be.
In my decade of medical training, I was never taught how to sort out vague laws that were not written using medical terminology.
Idaho lawmakers amended the state's abortion ban at the end of the last legislative session to clarify some of the language. Abortions in Idaho are illegal except in the case of rape with a police report or incest.
$11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
Reaction continues pouring in because of those shocking comments made from the Seattle Police Union Vice President you just heard there. That newly released body camera video captures Seattle Police detectives Daniel Otterer on a phone call making comments about a woman who was hit and killed by another officer in January. The person on the other end of the call is the president of Seattle's police union.
I'm angry and disappointed to hear the way that this detective talked about a fatal collision. As horrifying as this conversation was to hear, I want to also say that I'm thankful to police department employees who discovered this and appropriately escalated these comments.
The Office of Police Accountability is investigating. The mayor's office says there is a strong system in place to deal with incidents like this swiftly, objectively, and comprehensively.
The FBI says the number of school threats is increasing both in Washington and across the country, creating a significant problem for law enforcement agencies. Even if a threat is fake, it's always treated as real until proven otherwise. If a threat ends up being a hoax, the time and resources put into the investigation come at a cost, even if that cost can't be calculated.
We get asked, what's the cost of this? Well, it's impossible to measure because we are pulling resources away from cases that would otherwise we would be investigating.
The FBI says it is also a problem for local law enforcement departments who have to investigate school threats with already minimal resources.
Our local partners are already shorthanded and understaffed, and so addressing hoax just takes more resources away from that, and the community has seen that.
They say the community also plays an important role when it comes to school safety. The FBI is now asking parents to educate kids about using social media responsibly. They're also asking the community to always report a threat, even if you think it might be fake, because it's always better to be safe than sorry.
Another check of our weather forecast this morning. Very pleasant weather where we got mid-50s in Spokane. Our normal cool spots still hitting the 40s for some low temperatures, but it is mid-September after all. In for a day with lots of sunny skies ahead. Not even those thin cirrus clouds like yesterday. Almost perfectly sunny for today. So because of that, a little bit warmer yet as we are just beginning our big time warming trend for this week, looking at upper 70s today. And we're seeing quite the ridge in the jet jet stream to the west. So when that is on top of the west coast, then we'll see those temperatures climb into the upper 80s or even 90s for some areas. And we'll show you who is most likely to be hitting 90 degrees on this final summer weekend coming up.